Have you ever been playing Fortnite and then died and got sent back to the lobby and wondered what was your purpose in life and why you keep playing? Well, now I'll tell you what weapons are good so that it doesn't happen to you again, and you'll listen to me and only me. And, by the way, if you get really upset at my opinions on a game, go touch some grass, because it ain't that deep. But almost every weapon this season is really great, so you can use them all if you really want to. Not a single F or D tier weapon, so let's get into it. Starting off, we have the Don't Use tier. Now, the reason why this exists is because I believe that under almost any circumstances, it would be better if you used something else other than this weapon. I'm being serious. I hate this weapon. And what is it? The Anvil rocket launcher. Okay, if you like this thing, I genuinely want to know why. Because, I've never once liked using it. Why use it? To destroy cars? I'd rather shoot at the car and blow out the tires. Or better yet, use an EMP and completely stop the car, instead of having to hit it with the launcher twice. So yeah, no thanks. And are you gonna use it on a player? Good luck. You'd have more chance going up to them and slapping them with a pool noodle. Nah, no thanks. Get this thing out of the game. Alright, next up, we have the start of C tier. Now, like I said earlier, I don't think anything in this game right now is bad per se, except for the Anvil rocket launcher, that's an exception. But I don't think any of the weapons in this game is bad. But at the bottom of C tier, we currently have the EMP. Now, I know I just got on the Anvil rocket launcher, but the EMP at least has some other uses. Each EMP does 50 damage to their shields, of course, but it's pretty good. I often find them either hurting myself or not hitting the enemy at all because I can't aim them right, though. The EMP is better for being, well, an EMP, throwing it at a car or an enemy business turret, which in zero builds can be pretty useful because the turret is pretty hard to deal with in the late game. So why is it only in C tier? Because I never find myself wanting to use them. Because there's better items to have in the late game. So that's why it's in C tier. Okay, next up in the C tier, we have the lock-on pistol. Alright, this is the noob gun. We all know that. And it's not that bad. You just aim and shoot and boom. The bullets track down the enemy faster than me when someone says they got me a milkshake. Yeah! My problem with it is it's not needed. Why would I need this thing? I'd have to replace my AR/sniper or my SMG. And let me ask you something. Would you replace these with this? Exactly. I wouldn't either. I personally like the weapon. It's really fun to use and it has a cool aesthetic. It's just not strong enough for me to reliably pick it up over something like a sniper, AR, or SMG. And so that's why it's in C tier. Okay, now we're moving on to the B tier. Now at the bottom of the B tier, we have the pistol. Alright, this one might be controversial, and if I was really pressed on the subject, I could possibly move this up a tier. But the reason I put it so low is, well, one, it's my tier list, so cry about it. But the other reason is because of the low ammo count compared to the other SMGs this season. The pistol has great damage output, but my little guy here is like my boy Patrick. He takes 5 shots then needs to reload. But if you have really good aim, I could definitely see why you'd place this higher. Meanwhile, me? Well, you see, there's a reason the lock-on pistol exists, and it's for people like me. But other than that, it's honestly a great weapon. I'd just rather use the SMGs. In fact, I'm really excited with the direction that this game has been taking pistols recently. Ever since Chapter 4, pistols have been full auto weapons. And ever since then, pistols have been amazing. And even this season, the only problem is the other SMGs this season are amazing. Next up, in the B tier, we have the Nemesis AR. When this season started, I thought this AR was the best, but as time goes on, I start to realize this gun might be the worst AR this season. It's not the worst weapon, but I find its damage not to be high enough for the slowed fire rate. It doesn't make it bad or anything, but definitely the worst AR this season. It's better for medium to long range encounters, but now there's an AR that does its job infinitely better. So in my mind, there's not much reason to use this weapon. The fire rate is slower than the striker, but it doesn't deal enough damage in return. Sometimes it feels like this thing could hit more shots if I gave it to a monkey. It might be me, but for some reason the fire rate on this gun always trips me up. I think it's because I'm expecting it to shoot more like the Enforcer. Alright, I'm gonna be clear. This one kinda hurts me, because the Hyper SMG is my favorite weapon this season. I love everything about this weapon. It doesn't have the ammo problem the pistol has, and it still has a really good damage. The Mythic one is so good. I love shredding through players' health with this thing. Well, that is when I can actually hit my shots. I love pulling this weapon out and putting holes into the enemies like they're Swiss cheese. And all things considered, it's a pretty great weapon. It's just outmatched by the other SMG this season. And that's really unfortunate, because having a full auto SMG like the Hyper SMG has always been awesome. And honestly, I'm pretty glad we got the other one this season, because I think this is the first time we've had a non-full auto SMG be meta in a long time. Alright, now we've made it to the A tier. And at the bottom of the A tier, and I know I'm going to make a lot of people mad with this one, and I'm going to be straight up, if you really pushed me on it, I could move this higher into the A tier, or possibly bottom of S tier, depending on how we talk it out. But for me, it is the Striker AR. The Striker AR was the best long-range AR until they added the Enforcer. After they added the Enforcer, well, the Striker had a stroke.
So I was having a stroke in my trailer and it did not end well.
But after much rehabilitation and rethinking, the Striker AR has turned its life around and has really grown and shined as an amazing medium to close range weapon. It is truly a good weapon at all ranges, some more than others, but what truly represents this weapon, jack of all trades, master of none. The Striker AR truly can serve whatever purpose you need it to. It's just, it isn't the best in terms of long range anymore. Or, I guess even medium. But, you know, if you're good with it, I can definitely see you shredding some people. Next up in A tier is the Grapple Blade. Alright, I'm gonna say it. Best mobility item this season. But, it's not the best weapon. Up close, it can be hard to deal with. But if you have good aim and a good shotgun, they're not gonna last. And honestly, I use this thing really often. It is an amazing counter to the ballistic shield. It breaks their block with 1 to 2 hits. But now, with the business turret in the game, you have more ways to counter the shield. Not like before, where the only way to beat the shield was to shoot the crap out of it and pray God may drop a nuke on the enemy player before your mag runs out. Alright, next up in A tier, we have the Burst SMG. Best SMG, hands down, no debate. The Burst SMG is without a doubt the best SMG this season. It has the highest DPS of any SMG, beating the Hyper SMG and the pistol into the ground. If the pistol is stage 4 cancer and the Hyper SMG is a kid who was able to beat it, then the Burst SMG is Goku. Gosh. What time is it? I gotta stop staying up so late editing. Seriously, what time is it? 12:58? I gotta get to bed. Who's at my door? The Legendary Burst SMG does more damage than the Mythic Hyper SMG. And if you give it the laser sight, it has literally 0 bloom. The reason it's not higher is only because it's not a necessity in higher end play. You can live without this thing, but I definitely recommend using this thing. You will not regret it. I'm serious. Alright, at the top of A tier, we got the business turret. It is amazing! You throw this thing down, it'll show them the business real quick. You have to be careful in the late game. These things will mess you up. If someone throws this down and you don't have an EMP or a quick way to destroy it, then it'll do constant damage that really stacks up quick. So you have to either kill them or try your best to destroy it and deal with the player. Not to mention how much it helps against the ballistic shield, forcing it to try and block 2 angles, meanwhile chipping away at its block. Truly, the business turret is amazing and should be called the Dawn turret. Why? Because it gets things done. Alright, welcome to the big leagues, ladies and gentlemen, or as I like to call, S tier. At the bottom of S tier, we got the pump. Why is it at the bottom? Because it's 0 builds, and the pump is always worse than the tack and 0 builds. But luckily, this season, the pump is still really good. The pump this season is truly amazing. One of my favorites we've ever had in a while. In 0 builds, the pump isn't as effective. Its low fire rate hinders its efficiency, of course. You can make up for that with something like a pistol or SMG, but it only puts a band-aid on the now 500 bullet holes you've received while facing someone with a frenzy auto. Lying there on the ground, you wonder what went wrong when someone shot you twice in less than a second and took all your health away. But even still, the pump has a lot more range than the frenzy, and it's still a very good weapon, especially if you have good aim and can get a good shot off first.
Have you ever used a clinger and thought this weapon is underwhelming? Or have you ever thrown a grenade and just wished it would stay still? Well, now, with the new cluster clinger, you no longer have to ask. With a simple throw of the wrist, you can tear your enemies asunder. The Cluster King Clinger is everything you need in an explosive. Reliable, great damage, and absolute killing potential.
Unless you just accidentally threw it at your feet after you just healed up. And next up in S tier, we have the Ballistic Shield. Yep, the shield. Oh, the shield. Everyone hates you. We're sick and tired of dealing with you. That being said, you are a lot less terrible to fight against now that we have more ways to counter you. The Ballistic Shield is a very strong weapon, all things considered. Being able to block incoming damage without getting hurt is an incredibly useful tool to have. And all things considered, I do like the item. I just wish it was implemented better, because as of right now, the shield is bearable, but it's still incredibly annoying to deal with. Personally, I liked the shield concept more back in Chapter 4 Season 1, when they had the Guardian Shield. Freaking loved the Guardian Shield, it was awesome. But now we got the Riot Shield, or Ballistic Shield, and I honestly have a feeling they made this weapon really strong on purpose to help the incoming wave of noobs from Season OG. If I wanted forced unbalance for controversy, I'd play Apex. And next up, you knew it was coming because this thing is crazy strong in 0 builds. This shotgun is amazing. The Frenzy Auto Shotgun. You can shred through a player like they're nothing in an instant. You pull this thing out, they're gonna start to get PTSD. Not post-traumatic stress disorder, premonition traumatic stress disorder. Because they already know they're about to get their butt whooped with a very fast fire rate, great spread, and amazing damage. The only drawback is range, because this thing has terrible range. But even so, this is definitely the best shotgun in the game right now. Hands down. You can't one pump with it, but I'm pretty sure you can't do that with the pump. Still, amazing shotgun. Alright, and at the top of S tier. Now, this is probably a controversial ranking. I'm gonna make it because I haven't heard a lot of people utter the same sentiment. I think the Enforcer AR is the best AR in this game right now. Honestly, I think it's one of the better ARs we've ever gotten. The thing is amazing with a very high damage and slower fire rate that you can hit your targets more often, and every time you do, it's dealing massive chunks of damage. Before this weapon came to the game, the Nemesis AR was pretty good because it was the long-range AR option. But after they added the Enforcer, why would I need the Nemesis when I can get the Enforcer to do everything it did but better? Trust me, this weapon is amazing. Experiment with it. You'll be killing people faster than the rage that flies out of you when you get killed by someone using the ballistic shield. Alright, now we're on to the best weapon in the game. Alright, come on! You knew this was coming! There really is only one option here. The sniper. The sniper this season is absolutely amazing! My favorite sniper was always the Hunter Bolt Action. Well, they took that sniper, gave it more damage and a faster fire rate, made it moddable, and voila! Made a literal killing machine. Honestly, I'm really tired of the snipers at this point. You kind of have to use one, because if you're not, you're going to get headshot, and the next thing you know, your controller's out the window. Oh, how'd that happen? Well, I'd like to thank you guys so much for watching. I had a fun time making this video, and I'd appreciate it if you guys liked the video and subscribed. And I'd love it if you guys told me your own tier list in the comments below. I'd love to hear all about how terrible mine is compared to yours. But other than that, I would like to thank you guys for watching, and have a blessed day. Bye-bye.